In the unforgiving deserts of Somalia, at the turn of the 20th century, a voice of defiance rose. A man who refused to kneel before the British, the Italians, or the Ethiopians. To his followers, he was a saint, a freedom fighter, and a leader. To his enemies, he was the Mad Mullah. But history remembers him as Sayyid Muhammad Abdallah Hassan, the Somali Lion. Muhammad Abdallah Hassan was born in 1856 in the Somali plains, among a proud pastoralist people. From a young age, he immersed himself in Islamic scholarship. He traveled to Sudan and Arabia, studying the Quran and Sufi traditions. But when he returned home, he saw a land under threat. European powers were carving up Africa during the infamous Scramble for Africa. Britain, Italy, and Ethiopia all had their eyes on Somali territory. Hassan knew one truth. If the Somali people did not unite, they would lose their freedom. In 1899, Muhammad Abdallah Hassan began rallying Somalis under a banner of faith and freedom. He founded what became known as the Dervish Movement, a force that blended religion, unity, and resistance. His message was simple, yet powerful. We are Somali, we are Muslim, and we will not bow to foreign invaders. Tens of thousands of warriors, both camel cavalry and foot soldiers, joined him. They called him the Sayyid, their spiritual leader. The British underestimated him. They thought defeating a desert leader would be easy. But between 1900 and 1904, Hassan's dervishes fought back in 4 major expeditions. Battle after battle, the Sayyid proved himself a master of guerrilla warfare. He knew the desert like the palm of his hand, striking quickly, disappearing into the sands, and rallying his people through poetry and faith. In one raid, his men wiped out hundreds of British and Allied troops. It was said that his war cries echoed through the dunes like thunder. But Muhammad Abdallah Hassan was not just a warrior, he was a poet, one of the greatest in Somali history. Through powerful verses, he shamed those who collaborated with colonizers, and he inspired courage in his fighters. One of his most famous poems declared, "Let the world know I will never be ruled by the unbelievers." His poetry kept the spirit of resistance alive even when the battles grew bloody and the odds seemed impossible. For 2 decades, Hassan held off the combined forces of Britain, Italy, and Ethiopia. No other African leader resisted for so long and on so many fronts. But in the 1920s, the tide began to turn. The British introduced a new weapon of destruction, the airplane. In 1920, biplanes bombed his stronghold in Tala, marking one of the first uses of aerial bombardment in Africa. His castles were destroyed, his forces scattered. Yet even then, Hassan refused to surrender. He retreated into the wild Somali plains, still defiant. Somber music, desert sunset visuals. In December 1920, Muhammad Abdallah Hassan fell ill with influenza during the global pandemic. On December 21st, he passed away, undefeated in spirit. The colonizers may have destroyed his army, but they could never erase his legacy. To the Somali people, he remained a symbol of unity, resistance, and dignity. They still remember him as the father of Somali nationalism. Today, Muhammad Abdallah Hassan is celebrated as one of Africa's greatest heroes, a man who defied the world's strongest empires with nothing but courage, faith, and the will to be free. His story reminds us that the struggle for independence was not just fought with weapons, but with words, spirit, and unshakable belief. He was the Lion of Somalia. He was the voice of resistance. He was Sayyid Muhammad Abdallah Hassan. If you believe African heroes like Muhammad Abdallah Hassan deserve to be remembered, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every hero deserves a spotlight.